All right, and we are live. Let me just fire the tweet. All right, tweet outbound. Let me just grab the Twitch chat. All right, hey, this is a Tuesday bonus stream. Cool if you are here. We just wrapped up Evolution, the beginning from North Star Games. And I'm going to do a solo playthrough of Deep Space D-6, a solitaire dice placement, worker placement game. Let's see. I've had this issue before. This is primarily a white game, and we have a black table, so I was kind of scrambling, and turns out that just grabbing a curtain just off the window helps with like the white balancing and the contrast. So yeah, without further ado, D-Space D6 is a game from Tau Games. It won like a print and play contest, possibly on Board Game Geek. It ended up having a Kickstarter and got a print run. They published it. It's fairly straightforward, and the kind of publisher ethos was they wanted to do kind of a throwback game, which was like intentionally left things up to your imagination, and maybe not everything was like fully detailed and fully explained. Kind of like kind of a throwback to those like Ziploc bag games, that like 70s and 80s. So without further ado,
I don't think you tweeted. Oh no, you did.
Yeah, no, I tweeted.
Oh, that's your thumbnail.
Yeah, so Tiffany is running a fever of 99.9,
It's 100.
Party like it's 99.9. So Tiffany is not participating directly in the stream.
I'm just gonna shout things.
Tiffany's just going to shout things which may or may not come in. Yeah, so Deep Space D6, it's in this kind of like choose your own adventure style box, complete with all the fun things. There's a little like $1.95 price tag in the corner. It's one of those like magnet boxes, and then the back has this like lovely like low resolution version of the game art. So yeah, let's crack it open. One of the things that the published version has that the print and play didn't, I believe, is the published version had a bunch of ships that were mounted on boards that are separate, but again, I think this isn't... You can still find copies of this, and I think the publisher is going to do another like print run via Kickstarter. But the print and play is free on Board Game Geek, at least the original print and play, and there's a bunch of like ships you can download and stuff people have uploaded for it. So if you want to play it, print and play is probably the way to go because there's only a couple extra things that were added in the published version. But yeah, let's pop over to the board. There are basically 4 of these shipboards in the game that we can pick from. They're kind of like your sort of spaceship that you're going to place your crew dice. They recommend this one, the Halcyon, for new players. This is kind of your standard ship. This is your ship that does a little more damage. This is your wacky alien ship that lets you avoid alien threats. And then this is your ship where you create drones, which are basically locked dice, and you leave them on there. I believe this is the sort of new player ship is one of the easier ones, and then these are going to be a little bit harder for a couple reasons. One being that after 2 scanner side dice are rolled, more threats are going to come out. So these are going to basically go through the deck faster and be harder. So we'll probably pick this easier die. Throw these back in the box. One thing also, the inside of the box here has sort of like a warning at the beginning, how to make the game a little easier or harder, which is cool. You can make it, basically it's how many of these like do nothing cards, called don't panic cards, you're going to put in, and then if you take cards out of the deck. So we're going to make it a short or fast game, which is you're going to pull 8 cards out. And then we'll probably make it easy, so we'll leave the 6 don't panic cards in. So I'll do that. And I guess I've only played part of a game of this once. Read the rules a couple times, so if anybody has a questions, put it out there. I will also do my best to teach it, which is probably usually what we do. But first, I'll do the setup. So we're going to choose this Halcyon ship. Just make sure that sucker is centered. We're going to set, it has shields. We're going to set its shields all the way up, and then it's got hull. We're going to set the hull all the way up. The first I'm going to do what the deck suggested. So I've got 6 of these Don't Panic cards. I'm going to shuffle them in. But first, I'm going to pull out the Oroboros. So there's basically a boss card in here. So there's 2 ways to do it. One is basically you have this sort of multi-stage boss card that's going to be in there. One thing you can do is shuffle all 6 of the parts into the deck, and then when the 6th one comes out, you sort of deploy it. The other one is you just wait till you get the end of the deck. I think what would be neat is just doing the shuffle it in approach. So let's do that. Of course, I shuffled in with the cards backwards. One of the things about the Oroboros boss was it was actually added as a Kickstarter stretch goal, and the publisher mentioned it didn't get as much playtesting as everything else in the game, so they were hoping to clean it up, some of the rules around it in a when they do like another print run, and they'll sort of post updated rules. So they asked for suggestions on if anybody had any clarifications and how people were currently using the Oroboros. Is it Oroboros? Oh, Kabuki Kid says I whacked out the pronunciation. That makes sense. Tiffany just took all the ibuprofen in the world to lower her fever, so that works. Okay, so let's see. I will jump into teaching. It's a fairly straightforward game. We have the threat deck, which are these kind of basic cards with the exclamation point. One thing that I thought was kind of neat, the graphic design was kept intentionally a little on the simpler side with this, so that it would be easy for people to just like homebrew stuff and add it, which I thought was a cool touch. So the threat deck, these are the threats that our ship is going to encounter. And the gist of the game is our ship popped out in a kind of unknown sector of space. And we need to hold out until help gets here. So this threat deck is going to be full of, they're called external and internal threats. So the external threats are going to be things like meteors and battleships. And the internal threats are going to be things like our crew getting distracted and time warps happening. So I'm going to shuffle that. And then to make this to make this a fast game, I'm going to pull the 8 cards out. So we're doing the easy ship, the fastest possible game. Actually, let me make sure none of those were... Okay, I accidentally pulled one of the Oroboros cards out. Alright, that's fine. 8 cards out. Got our threat deck. Alright, so these dice that we have, these are our crew members. What we're going to do each turn, loosely, is roll our crew and assign them to different parts of the ship. Then we're going to draw a new threat card, and then we're going to roll this black threat die, and some of the threat cards are going to activate on die rolls that are shown. And then we'll do it all again. We'll take our crew back that was assigned, unless they were put in the infirmary, which means they're stuck there until we get them out, and then re-roll them. So So our ship starts, we've got 8 hull and 4 shields. The different ships have different amounts. There's also an infirmary card, and the infirmary card has a bonus rule that someone suggested in playtesting, which I think is neat, so I'll play with it. Basically, you can add any crew to the infirmary, and then you can change another one to any side. So, again, something that makes the game a little easier. I still haven't played a full game, so I'll play with that. I'll go over what these different faces and spaces mean real quick. The blue face with 5 sides is the commander. On this ship, he has the ability to change a crew die to any face, so that's handy. The weapons officer, which is this red circle with the arrow, you can fire lasers for 1 damage. This threat track is showing the health of the cards that we're facing, so some of them, the card will say what it starts out at, and as they get damaged, they'll slide down. It's 1 damage for the first, but 2 damage for each additional weapons officer. For the medical officer, I can either return all units from the infirmary to this return box, or return a scanner die, and I'll mention those in a second. There's engineering, of course, wearing yellow. It makes sense. Red is the red shirts, orange is the engineers. +1 hull for every engineering die, and then +2 for each additional, so kind of the same as the weapons. Then the last one, the science officer can recharge shields or do a stasis beam. Shields will just move our shields up. Again, when we take damage, it'll hit our shields first, then our hull, so recharging shields is cool. Or this ship has the special ability to do a stasis beam, which will use that die to lock a threat, and it won't be able to activate. One thing is all these boards do have a double side, so you've got your neat little silhouette of the ship, and then gameplay notes and kind of your flavor text. So the Halcyon is armed with versatile laser cannons and a modified observational stasis beam, proving invaluable to UE missions where reconnaissance is essential. I kind of like these small form factor games that kind of hint at stuff in lore but don't go overboard. That's kind of have a weakness to that sort of thing. Alright, so we've got our shields, we've got our hull. Shuffle the threat deck. We're going to draw 2 threat cards. And some of them are actually these internal threat cards. So the main difference being an external threat card has this health value and a number. This one actually, you can see with these snaky bits, is part of the Oroboros, so we're going to set it aside. And then this square means it's an internal threat. So that's actually going to go to this side of the ship. There are invaders aboard our ship, and it's something we'll have to deal with. And we'll need to send 2 crew on an away mission to deal with it. It's basically locking them until we've got 2. When the threat die is rolled, if it's a 2 or a 4, one of our units is going to go to the infirmary. So this is not great. This Oroboros card will be set aside, and then I'll draw another one to replace it. So we have an interceptor. Both of these are kind of dangerous things, but I think we'll be able to get through it. Kind of different parts I mentioned. This is our threat track. This is our hull in gray or shields in green. Oh, the scanner dice, that's right. So at the start of this, I'm going to roll all my dice, and if any of them are scanners, it's kind of locking, kind of common to dice games. I'm going to put a scanner die at the top on this ship when it gets to 3, and these are going to stay from round to round, and then once I have the 3rd die, I'm going to immediately draw another threat, so I'll be going through the deck faster. So this is where the medical officer is going to be helpful. I'll be able to pull those threats back. Let's see, is there anything... It's pretty straightforward. I think that's about it. So I guess let's jump into it. And I'll sort of go through that first round. So all my crew are available, so we're going to roll all of them. 2 scanner dice, pretty unlucky. And then 2 engineers, a commander, and a medical. So as soon as once we're in this phase, we're assigning our crew. You just do the thing automatically. So this medical seems good, so we can get rid of the scanner. So that'll go. It's return, so it'll go to return. Our engineers aren't useful for repairing because we haven't taken any damage yet, although we probably will. So it might be helpful to use the commander to change one of these to the tactical crew member. So that's used. I have a tactical crew member. I'll send them to work on the invaders, so that's locked. And then the engineer is actually not useful. What I could have done instead was use that ability to send somebody to the infirmary to, like, send the medical to the infirmary to change this to a stasis. But it didn't. So once we've assigned crew, we draw a new threat card. Again, another Oroboros card. This is the barrier, so I'll go over all those when we get to that. Then a destroyer. I'll roll the threat die, and then we'll see what the matching threats are. So it was a 5. So the invaders don't. Then we do everything basically top down, left to right. So the invaders don't activate. The interceptor does, because there's a 5 on that card, so I lose a hull, which goes to shields first, so now we're at 3 shields. And then the destroyer doesn't activate. Then all of our crew returns. I'm going to leave the tactical one on the invaders so we can deal with that. We have 4 dice back, and then we can roll it again. Got scanner die again. Another tactical, medical, and a repair what's it. Now one thing is you can't lock crew that are out. Like basically they all return every round, so you can't really lock from turn to turn. One of the ships though, the drone ship, allows you to create drones by combining dice, and then those do stick around. But in our case, we'll send one to invaders. We did our away mission because we had our 2 tactical crews, so this gets discarded, and then both of these immediately go to returned. Our engineer, not super useful, but we can use the medical to return a scanner die, and then that's set aside. So, draw a new threat card. Cloaked threats. We need a science to get rid of this. Activates on a 2. After the threat phase, roll the threat die again. That is super great. Let's see, medical is still assigned. Roll the threat die. And it, of course, rolls a 2. So we're going to roll this again. We're going to lose a hull because of our interceptor. The destroyer doesn't activate. We're not really doing any damage here. This is great. But we're going to roll the threat die again. And it's a 1. So the interceptor does 1 hull to us, and then the destroyer does 3. So that's 1 off shields and a 2. So we're at 6 hull. This is actually pretty grim, and I think we're probably going to... this is actually looking really bad. Alright, but we're going to gather all available crew. Nobody's in the infirmary, which is pretty great. So we'll roll everybody. We got our science. We got 2 commanders and 2 weapons. Recharging shields is great. Dealing with the cloaked threats, also great. So one thing we could do, we could use 1 commander to change another commander to science, assign that science to take care of the cloaked threats, assign the other one to recharge shields, and then do 2 weapons to fire lasers twice, which will do a total of 3 damage, which can take out... so actually cloaked threats goes away, and that's returned. We can either take out the destroyer, which has a 1 in 3 chance of taking 3 hull off, or the interceptor, which has a 5 in 6 chance of taking off 1 hull. Probably, so we'll slide the interceptor down, we'll do 3 damage to that. And recharge our shields all the way up. So, could be worse. Oh, move the inset to the upper right corner so we can see that side of the board. Thanks, Mur. Oops. Sorry, I'm just sliding everything all over the place. It's this one! Alright. Thanks, Mur. That was a good idea. But yeah, very much a survive against the onslaught kind of game. But it's a little bit on the lightweight side, so I'm sure if you just wanted to add stuff, there's ships on Board Game Geek, I'm sure you could easily string this together into whatever, because it's kind of a loose engine. And these dice are pretty versatile. Time Warp, on a roll of a 2, all threats will recover 1 health, and that'll take 2 science to get rid of. That is super exciting. But at least we don't have the rolling the threat die twice to deal with. So it's a 5. We got rid of that interceptor, so nothing activates, neither the Time Warp nor the interceptor. And then we recover all of our crew. And do it again. Another scanner die. These are just going in there. 3 commanders and a medical officer. So that's all of the rear folks. So if we can't get rid of the Time Warp and the Destroyer, we can get rid of the Destroyer. We can also recover some hull, but not a lot. I think returning us. Well, let's see. We can get 2 of anything because we have 2 commanders. So that would give us. That would give us a bunch of stuff. But if we, let's see, return a scanner die. For those commanders there. Change a crew die to weapons. This other commander die can't be used for anything, so he'll just be set aside. But we'll do 1 damage. That scanner die will come back. And that's all right. So we'll draw another card. It's a Warbird. 1 health goes to the right of anything additional. On a 4 or a 6, it's -3 hull, and it ignores shields. So that's bad. One thing is you assign your crew before that next threat comes out. So Kabuki Kid says Oroboros is how I should be saying it. Oroboros. So I'll try that. It's a 4. So Time Warp doesn't activate, Destroyer doesn't activate, but the Warbird does and takes 3 hull off. So we're now at 3 out of 8 hull because it ignores shields. That's pretty bad. So we'll gather our available crew. There's probably some better ways we could be doing this. All right, let's see what we got. 2 commanders, medical, and 2 engineers. So those 2 engineers will let us get back 3 hull. If we use our 1 commander to change the other to an engineer, that would give us 5 hull. So we would be all the way back to full strength and just hope that the Warbird and the Destroyer don't hurt us. And we could use the medical to get rid of the last scanner die. So let's do that. Medical returns the last scanner die, so now we'll get all 6 dice every time. Use the 1 commander to do another engineering. Total of 3 engineering, which will give us 5 health, 1 + 2 + 2. And we're now at 8. And we are totally defenseless against this next threat card. Cosmic Existentialism. Let's put that up there. Must be completed before assigning any other science crew. And it requires 1 science, as you can see in the lower right. So we sort of need science to deal with both this time warp and this cosmic existentialism. So apparently the science people are just sort of wondering the meaning of the universe while they're contemplating this time warp, while our hull is getting ripped apart and the engineers are trying to frantically patch it back together. And are being great at their jobs. Oh, actually, I forgot to roll the threat die again, didn't I? Oops. It was a 4, -3 hull, ignores shield. So we would have died, but we are back down to 5. So let's see. Okay, 2 scanner dice. Those are locked up towards the top. That is rough. 2 commanders, a weapons, and a science. That warbird is pretty harsh. And it's only 1, so probably just firing lasers at it would be a good idea. Dealing with the cosmic existentialism, also probably a good idea. We could also use, we could use this commander to change the other to return a scanner, use our stasis beam, which would lock something in place. So actually, yeah, so we dealt with the cosmic existentialism. Let's use this commander to change this other one to a stasis beam. We'll place the stasis beam on the destroyer, and then the warbird will be taken care of by that tactical officer. So things are pretty good. We haven't exploded yet. Yes, science, it works. So we used science on them. The destroyer is being held in stasis, and we're going to draw this next card, which is Hydra Cannons. Another, hold on, I got this. Oroboros card. So we are now at 3 out of 6 Oroboros cards. Once all 6 are out, we're going to deploy all 6 and then probably promptly explode. I think it's kind of neat that just the warning thing on the inside of the cover is hey, you can either deal with it at the end of the deck or you can sprinkle it throughout. Probably because we're sprinkling it throughout, we are totally doomed. Right, so new threat. Oh, so we need to redraw a threat because that came out. It's a scout at 3. If you lost hull this round, lose 1 additional hull. And then we're going to roll this. It's a 4. Time warp doesn't activate. Scout doesn't activate. Destroyer doesn't activate. So we are fine. And then we will gather our crew. Those 2 scanner dice are locked, sadly. We'll roll these. 2 medical, a science, and a tactical. So the tactical would let us get rid of this destroyer. That seems like a good idea. The science can let us get rid of this time warp, which hasn't triggered yet, but is probably a good idea. And then the 2 medical would let us return these 2 scanners. One thing we haven't done is the send crew to the infirmary. I think the idea was the people were talking about on the Board Game Geek thread, which spawned this addition to the published version or the Kickstarter version. You're trying to get 2 crew to use the medical station, and neither of them are doctors, so they can operate the latest surgery device, but they're probably going to send someone to the infirmary, or they can figure out how to use the weapons, even though they're not weapons officers. But there's probability of failure, so that's basically you're going to need to use any 2 dice and send someone to the infirmary. Yeah, so we will leave that there. We've assigned those. We returned our scanner dice. We reveal an additional threat, and it is the core of the Oroboros. So if you can see, I'm going to set it up down here. They all have these connecting rings, so you can sort of put the cards together, and it looks like this horrific snake-like beast. Which it is, the Oroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It's kind of cool they go together in whichever order they're in. But we need to draw a new one to replace it, which is a Don't Panic. Nothing happens. That's the first one we've drawn. There's 6 in the deck. It's, I think, 50-odd cards. 52, maybe. Okay. So we're all right. Roll the threat die. It's a 6, nothing activates. 1 piece of errata was all threats recover 1 health, or not errata, it's actually in the rules. Nothing can go over its max health. Okay, so let's gather our available crew. Let's see what horrific things happen now. Scanner die, 2 medical, 2 commanders, and a science. Oh, darn it, I rolled the time warp die. I rolled the time warp die and I should have, so let's relock that back on time warp. That was My mistake. It would definitely be nice to repair. We're still at 5 out of 8 health. We're sort of in a little bit of a lull. And we do have 2 medical. So one thing we could do is we could use both commanders to turn both medical into engineers, which would repair a total of 3 health. It's probably a good idea. It puts us kind of back into where we were at the start of the game. Draw another card. It is a strike bomber. On a 2 or a 4, we lose a hull and send a unit to the infirmary. The medical people aren't doing anything anyway. Let's send everybody to the infirmary. We'll roll this. It's a 1. Miraculously, nothing activates. So we'll return our dice. Scanner is locked. Science is locked. Ouch. Okay, so we got 2 scanners. This is the first time we've filled it up. Once this is full, we immediately draw a new threat card, which is Friendly Fire. Immediately send all weapons to the infirmary and then discard. I didn't have any rolled, so I think we're okay. So I think it said in the rules if it doesn't activate, you just discard it. These 3 scanner dice all return. And we are basically left with a commander and an engineer. Probably this sounds like a good time for the commander to tell the engineer to learn science so we can get rid of this time warp, because we needed to assign 2 science to it. That goes away. The commander is sitting pretty on the bridge. We draw our next threat, which is a Corsair. On a 4, 5, or 6, we lose 2 hull. So this is going to be a dangerous threat die. That's a 5. So we lose 2 hull. Comes off our shields. It's okay. We can use science to put the shields back together. Nothing else activates, though. So we're good. Everybody returns. Kind of has a good flow to it. Nothing too wacky going on. We're, I don't know, probably about a quarter of the way through. I don't know if we'll make it all the way, but we'll definitely try. 2 scanner dice. Hooray. 3 tactical dice and 1 engineering die. So that gives us 5 damage if we just put them all in the weapons department. And the special thing of this ship, it says on the rear, I'm not going to flip this over again, I think it says in the rules too, you can split damage. Yeah, the total damage can be split among multiple targets. So let's see, with 5 damage, that would take out the strike bomber and the Corsair and drop the scout. Oh, we should have lost an additional hull because the scout was out, so we're actually at 1 shield. So yeah, let's do it. Let's take out the strike bomber and the Corsair. And drop the scout down to 2 health. This engineer, we can't repair shields, so they're just going to hang out because we don't have anybody to convert them or do something with. Now we're at 5 out of 6 on the Oroboros. That's the attack matrix. So we have the barrier, hydra cannons, the core, the missile array, and the attack matrix.
Are you dead yet?
No! Surprisingly, we almost died and then we used science.
Science is
to
good at
overcome
that.
Raiders. On a 1 or 4, -1 hull, which ignores shields. Let's roll that threat die. It's a 3. Nothing activates because we're kind of out of dangerous stuff. But we've only got 4 dice now because 2 of our scanner dice are locked. Ouch. Okay. So when you cascade scanner dice, you kind of do it, return. So we're going to do 1 scanner die, reveal another threat. Oh, goodness, it's the hydra cannons. So those 3 go back, and then that 1 goes out. So we're down to a commander and a weapons, and now all of these Oroboros are coming out. And they're going to go to the appropriate spot. So the core is going to go to the 4. On a 6, the core health goes back up by 1. That's great. The hydra cannons and the missile array are at 3. And the attack matrix is at 2. So our Oroboros is doing this kind of cool, sneaky thing here. Oh, and then the barrier, which protects the core. I think we can actually afford to move this over. the barrier on a 5, or it protects the core, so this was something that was kind of, well, it wasn't fully explained in the rules, but you can kind of come up with whatever interpretation you want. It's a little loose, but it says protects core, so I'm assuming that means you just can't damage the core. Pretty straightforward, I think. On a 5, it recharges the barrier and returns to play if destroyed. So basically, we can still destroy this barrier, but then on a 5, it'll go back into play. And all we've got is a commander and a weapons. Oh, whoops. Okay. Luckily, we are still somehow at 8 health. So let's see. The attack matrix says, while active, roll the threat die twice. The scout is going to mean we're going to lose additional health. The Hydra cannons, which are 1, 2, and 6, and 1, 3, and 6, we're going to lose 2 hull. And then the missile array, we're going to lose 3 hull and ignore shield. So we could actually just completely explode this round. I mean, we can... Alright, let's use the commander to turn the weapons into science and then get our shields all the way back up. Alright, good night, Bob. Thanks for watching. Bob's turning into a pumpkin. I think we're probably going to be toast pretty shortly thereafter, too, so I think we're going to also head to bed. But let's roll this threat die. We're going to have to roll it twice. Rolled a 2. So we're going to lose 2 hull from those Hydra cannons. Okay, that's actually miraculously it. We're going to roll it again. Oh, and then it's a 1. So we're going to lose 4 hull. So we're down to 2, and then down to 6 hull. And the scout, if we lost hull this round, lose 1 additional. Alright, things are bad. We're at 5 health and no shields, and we just recharged our shields and we had full health. So let's pull everybody back. We've got 5 dice. Yeah, the threats are building up. It's because we were playing with the... once all 6 Oroboros cards are out, you put them all into play. That kind of puts that encounter wherever in the deck. The other alternate way to play is you wait until you've gone fully through the deck, and then you set the Oroboros card. You have them set aside, and then you put them all into play. So this was kind of the... we made it easy with all the don't panics, the taking cards out of the deck, the extra infirmary ability, and then we have this kind of making it hard. So you can kind of set it to sort of how you want the difficulty. What do we got? All right, another scanner die. Great. Commander, medical, engineering, and science. I think the recharging the shields is a no-brainer. Now we can stasis beam one of these things. Or we can use the commander to get more engineering and get more hull back, and that might actually buy us the most time. So let's commander this medical to an engineer, learning on the job, use that, so we are at 3 health. So we've mostly recovered, and then we... Alright. Pandemic. On a 1, we send a unit to the infirmary, and we defeat it with either science or medicine. Alright. That's an internal threat. Roll the threat die. It is a 3. The 3, we lose 2 hull from Hydra cannons. And then we roll it again because the attack matrix is out. It's a 1, so we lose 4 hull again. So we are now down to 6. We lost it again with the scouts. So we're down to 5. So we're basically back where we were. And it's a 1. Send a unit to the infirmary. I guess commander, you go to the infirmary. Actually no, science. You deal with strange things. You probably picked up a pandemic. And we have 2 scanner dice locked. That's bad. So we are only rolling 3 dice. And we got 2 science and a commander. So commander, all the commander can do is change crew dice to any face. So we can recharge our shields and then fix the pandemic, or stasis beam something. Oh man, let's take the risk. Let's stasis beam the attack matrix. The commander can hang out. And then we'll draw another threat card, which is comms offline. You can't assign commanders, and we need engineers to fix the fact that the comms are offline. Things are great. But we're only rolling the threat die once, so that's all right. 2. -2 hull from those hydro cannons, and miraculously we're fine. I think if we rolled a 6, we would probably explode because that would activate both hydro cannons and the missile array. But we didn't roll it twice. Thank you, science, with your stasis beam and your shield recharging. Oh, actually, our shield's recharged, so we should have gone all the way back up. We're still out of luck on hull, though. And this science officer is still in the infirmary. But yeah, we're holding, so we'll pull these 3 back. Still only rolling 3. 2 weapons and an engineer. So that gives us 3 damage. Oh darn it, we should have lost an additional hull, shouldn't we have? I guess we would have recharged shields and then that would have gone down again. So actually we would be at 1. Yeah. Okay, but we can use these weapons to blow something out of the sky, so I think it seems like a good idea to take out one of these hydro cannons, because those have been doing problems. So 3 damage to that. Reveal a new threat. Okay, so this is a rescue card. So there's only a couple of these in the deck. We rescue a soldier. We can discard this card to reroll all scanner dice detected this round. But to rescue him, we're going to need a medical officer. So we'll set that to the side with the internal threats. Roll the threat die. Threat dice. Oh, and that attack matrix is still active. So it's a 2. We took out that hydro cannon though, so we're fine. Do it again. It's a 6. I think that killed us. So we lose 3 hull ignoring shields, and now we're at 0. And then 2 more from the hydro cannons, which takes out our last shield. Yep, that's all she wrote, and then 1 additional because of the scout. So the Halcyon has died an explosive death to the Oroboros. But yeah, the Halcyon is its name. It's a RPTR class late exploration ship outfitted for combat and exploding. Cool. So we got one of the Oroboros pieces out. I think just deck wise, if you all want to see, we made it through this many cards, so probably about 10, and then we've probably got about 30 left in the deck, so got about a quarter of the way through. There were some threats. I probably missed a couple things, like, let's see, no, I didn't do, comms were still offline, yeah. It's possible I missed a couple things, but it's a game flows pretty well. It's get through the deck. I know it's not a valid criticism at all, but with the Choose Your Own Adventure cover, I wish, I'm pining for like an above and below style paragraph book. It's a totally different game, but that's where my heart is. Haven't played with any of the other ships. Just played with the basic one. Just kind of a basic stream. Yeah, it does seem tough. I think there are definitely ways to mitigate stuff. The infirmary action, I think, I didn't use it at all in the game, but sending a unit to the infirmary to change another to any face, I think really lets you switch strategies kind of mid-flow. I think depending on how you set it up, if you were putting the Oroboros at the end of the deck, and made sure to clean up all threats before you got to the end of the deck. You could kind of time it so that you were ready to face it. You had full shields and full health. We kind of got hit in the middle, and we had full health the first couple times, but it was hard to manage the scanner dice and stuff. So yeah, it's fun to survive. Really happy I picked this up. In terms of getting it, again, I know there's some retailers that have it. Annoyingly, not annoyingly, there's some retailers that are sharking it. Originally, it was on Kickstarter for $15, so rather than paying twice or three times that price for a sharked copy, make the print and play yourself. All you need is you're just going to print out one of these shipboards and then about 40 of these threat cards. And then you can just play it with D-6. Just each face corresponds to a different. Each face corresponds to a different role. And actually, the way it's set up is these are actually roughly. I think these are actually 1 through 6. So the commander face is 5-sided and has 5 pips. The science has 3 pips on it. Engineer has 2 pips, which is 2 gears. The medical has 4 pips and a cross. And then I think the scanner die is probably the 6. And then the weapons is probably the 1. Kawika says the new Kickstarter is supposed to include a new game as an option. So that could be cool. I think I saw on BGG I don't know if there's going to be a straight reprint or a follow-up. I think there is going to be a straight reprint. There's something that said on BGG that maybe there is going to be a multiplayer version as something later. But yeah, if there is a reprint and you're interested, if this is up your alley, it's solitary, you can play it quickly, it's small footprint. The art style is kind of simple, so you can sort of make your own cards and make your own stuff, or use other people's without it being too jarring. Yeah, I think that's about it. So if you were watching this bonus stream live, thank you for watching and taking part and watching the Halcyon explode into little Halcyon pieces. And using science to try to keep it together. If you're watching this recorded, thank you for watching. And if this is a game you have played or interested in playing or have tried to print and play or want to know more about it, put some stuff down in the comments. I will add a link to the Board Game Geek page, which I know the designer is active on, so that would be a place to ask any questions, and is also a place to find the free print and play. Again, I don't have any details about timing of a Kickstarter and whatnot. I basically forgotten about it until I saw this on the shelf, the one copy that was sitting there. So if it interests you, there's probably Board Game Geek page is probably a place to find it. Cool. I think it is vaguely reminiscent of the computer game Faster Than Light, which is one of my favorites, just in terms of crew assignment, but it's obviously pretty streamlined and done with dice. So in the computer realm, if you're interested in this kind of thing, you might enjoy Faster Than Light, which is on computers and on iPad. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will catch you on Thursday for the bonus stream, as long as Tiffany is not horrifically sick. If it is pneumonia, it's at least walking and streaming pneumonia, then we'll be fine. We'll stream some stuff. So thanks for watching, y'all. And we will catch you later. I do enjoy doing these solo streams. So later, Kabuki Kid. Thanks for watching. Anybody else out there, take care. Oh, the Thursday stream. Thursday stream was
last week.
No, this week Thursday stream is a two-player
Kickstarter.
Two-player Kickstarter worker placement.
It's on Kickstarter right now.
It's on Kickstarter right now. So for the sleuths out there, that might give you enough to go on. If you're watching this recorded, we have probably already tweeted, and you being in the future probably already know what that game is. So take it easy, y'all.